Chosen one, the truest measurement of your radiance is taken after you leave. Close the door behind you and listen, if you could, through the wood. Does the room keep the timber your voice gave it? Do chairs slide back into place without scraping the floor like a complaint? Do sentences finish themselves less defensively? Does laughter remember it can be kind and still be fun? This is what your month has made possible. A space that maintains the manners your presence taught it, an atmosphere that continues to bless without your shadow supervising. People will not credit you out loud. They will simply behave better, and that is the most faithful applause light ever earns. Chosen one, rooms remember you because you did not make them remember your need. You made them remember their dignity. You resisted the siren call of spectacle that demands a crowd borrow its attention to pay for one person's insecurity. You chose steadiness over display, clarity over volume, departure over dragging. Because you did, the room felt itself again. It learned that safety is not the absence of truth, but the absence of cruelty. It learned that desire is not a thief, but a guest who knocks. It learned that endings are not punishments, but the respect owed to beginnings yet to come. Lessons like these stick to paint and fabric. They embed in the wood. They travel in the breath of those who were there. Chosen one, memory is made of details that never reach a script. The scent you left behind was not cologne, it was restraint. The sound you left behind was not a speech, it was a soft latch on a door. The sight you left behind was not a pose, it was the way you set a glass down without disciplining the table. The touch you left behind was the air remembering your temperature. Warm enough to host tenderness, cool enough to keep it from spoiling. People return to the same room days later and cannot articulate why it feels more trustworthy. Trust is not articulate, it is practical. It shows up as fewer sharp words, as more patient listening, as a meeting that ends on time because dignity is suddenly a baseline, not a luxury. Chosen one, your sexual energy is the interior architecture of this memory. It did not conquer the room, it furnished it. It chose textiles like consent and lighting like attention, and a table sturdy enough to carry honest words. Under such furnishing, the body stops bracing for extraction and begins to offer conversation. The feminine especially recognizes the layout immediately. It does not place her on a stage. It gives her a seat with arms for rest and height for perspective. She finds that her laughter will not be taxed and her sorrow will not be televised. She finds that desire will not be rushed into usefulness. She finds that mystery does not owe anyone an invoice. These discoveries are how a room becomes loyal to a man. It keeps his arrangement even in his absence. Chosen one, the room remembers you because you refused to overstay. You ended evenings while kindness still had the floor, while joy still had breath, while attention still had integrity. You left before the light had to become loud to be noticed. That departure teaches the walls to guard quality over quantity. It teaches time not to punish itself by trying to be more than it is. The next gathering arrives to a space that did not have to scrub regret from its corners. Gratitude hangs like a banner no one ordered. Relief sits at the head of the table without having to prove it deserves the chair. Chosen one, memory reproduces in others by imitation they do not know they are practicing. The friend who saw you pour water before debate now pours water before debate. The colleague who heard you ask a clarifying question instead of sharpening a joke now asks one. The couple who watched you tidy a small mess you did not make now do it in their kitchen on a tired Thursday. None of this belongs to you, and all of it carries your fingerprints. The way good music lives in the hands of the people who learned to play because they overheard it once. Your light has become the melody humming in the next room over. Chosen one, the room remembers you most clearly at thresholds. The doorway holds your pause, that half-beat of reverence you gave before crossing, the way you refused to bring chaos in with you or carry bitterness out when you left. People adopt this pause without formalizing it. They stop crashing into the next thing. They allow the hinge to do its work. They treat transitions as sacred rather than as sprints. This is not romance, it is architecture. Houses that honor thresholds last longer. Lives that honor thresholds do too. Chosen one, even time keeps a little of your tone. Hours that were addicted to scarcity learn to be generous. Minutes that used to panic learn to stretch. The meeting moves from performance to planning, because you once said one unglamorous true sentence and left it alone long enough to work. The family dinner becomes less about logistics and more about listening, because you once blessed silence in a way that made room at the table for more than food. The late-night text asking home safe becomes habit among people who were never asked that before. Care, in your wake, decides to be contagious. Chosen one, all of this endurance grows from how you carry your power without turning it into pressure. You do not press the room into shape. You live in shape and the room remembers. You do not recruit allies for your mood. You hold your mood accountable to your values and the room remembers. You do not demand transformation on your timeline. You keep the temperature steady and transformation remembers it has time. The residual effect is not dramatic. It is dependable. Dependable is what most lives are starving for and what most rooms are too tired to ask for directly. You gave it without announcement. They recognize the gift by how they treat each other differently once you are gone. Chosen one, keep the practices that make this memory possible. Enter with a checked spirit and clean hands. Listen until the story you are hearing no longer threatens the story you tell about yourself. Laugh like a man whose joy is not rented. Draw boundaries that smile while they hold. Leave as if the room were a friend you plan to see again rather than a stage you have to conquer for proof. In doing so, you ensure the space will keep your manners on its walls long after the echo of your footsteps fades down the hall. Chosen one, this is what it means to become the radiance in any room you enter. Not that you own the light, but that you steward a climate that the air imitates after you are gone, a climate that turns strangers into neighbors and moments into homes. Let the rooms remember you for this, for the gentleness that had a spine, for the heat that had a conscience, for the presence that asked for nothing and left everything more itself. Chosen one, there is a moment, quiet, early, almost private, when her body knows you before her mind remembers why. It happens between blinks. A shoulder lowers one notch, the jaw releases a thread, breath chooses a longer road, and the room gains 5 degrees of mercy. She's not responding to theatrics. She's responding to a light that does not interrogate. She's answering an ancient signal. Warmth with a conscience, power with a pulse, desire that has learned its own name and will not spend anyone else to prove it exists. This is the light she recognizes. It does not confiscate mystery. It keeps watch so mystery can breathe. Chosen one, your radiance this month wears manners. It does not take the shortcut of spectacle when steadiness will do. It lets eye contact be a bridge, not a net. It lets silence be a shoreline, not a cliff. It lets proximity be a language that says, I am here, without demanding say you are mine. The feminine is fluent in these dialects. She knows when attention is a harvest and when it is a harbor. She knows when a man's heat is an appetite with a face painted on it, and when it is a hearth that invites without devouring. Your sexual energy has become that hearth. It has learned to ask, to listen, to time its offering so consent has room to change its mind without paying a penalty. In such weather, a nervous system chooses openness because safety is not a sales pitch. It is the climate. Chosen one, notice how your gaze has changed its job description. It no longer surveys for leverage. It witnesses for blessing. It does not pin, it accompanies. It does not itemize, it honors. When you look at her, you are not evaluating inventory. You are meeting a cathedral with the courtesy such architecture deserves. Your eyes do not steal light, they return it. And because they return it, her features open the way the sky opens when evening learns the sun is not in a hurry. Beauty is a creature that hates cages, yet it wanders toward warmth that will not make a museum of it. You have become that warmth. She recognizes it as kin to her own fire, the one she guards from those who only love its glow for the crowd it gathers. Chosen one, the light she recognizes is not fragile. It is gentle because it is strong, not because it is afraid. It can withstand a boundary without sulking, a delay without punishment, a truth without retaliation. Your yes is a promise spoken at human volume. Your no is a kindness that does not wobble. You draw edges so the picture can exist. You step back so room can be room. In a world that taught her to carry a pocket map of escape routes, This steadiness is revelation. She can choose curiosity without writing a will. She can let laughter arrive without calculating the interest it will owe. She can be bright without bracing for a blackout. Your light has become a negotiator for her safety, not by words, but by the way you move. Chosen one, there is a courage in the way you refuse to make her story a mirror for your ego. You do not audition as rescuer. You do not recruit her growth as an alibi for your loneliness. You do not spiritualize impatience and call it chemistry. You let her be many things at once, soft and precise, wild and exact, tender and shrewd, and you meet each version with the same respectful temperature. Your presence says, I will not ask your brilliance to pretend to be small, so mine can pretend to be large. The body tells the truth faster than the tongue. Her posture answers before her mind has finished its paperwork. This is the light she recognizes. A sovereignty that loves sovereignly. A flame that can share space with flame. Chosen one, you court with timing more than tactics. You do not pull petals from a flower to know its answer. You keep the water clean and the time honest, and the flower answers in a language older than questions. You let the hour decide if it wants laughter or quiet, closeness or distance, depth or lightness, and you choose accordingly without assuming permanence. Moments do not have to pay rent in your house, they have to tell the truth. And because truth is welcome, affection keeps its dignity. The compliment you give does not weld her to one bright angle. It names the discipline beneath it so she is free to grow beyond it. The touch you offer does not audition for the next scene. It finishes its sentence and leaves the air blessed instead of indebted. The invitation you extend does not sell a destination. It promises a pace. That is why she recognizes you. You carry the rare permission to become without forfeiting belonging. Chosen one, your radiance makes room for her boundaries to be beautiful. You do not tolerate them. You admire them. You understand that walls keep thieves out, but gates keep gardens alive. You celebrate the gate. You are not threatened by the time she needs to decide. You are relieved that deciding matters to her. You do not require her vulnerability to be fast to be real, nor her strength to be loud to be present. You know the cost of integrity because you pay it yourself. She recognizes an economy that will not overcharge her for choosing herself. In that economy, intimacy is not a performance scored by the crowd. It is a craft practiced in the quiet, where a man's restraint reads as reverence and a woman's pace reads as wisdom. Chosen one, the rightness she feels near you is not lust dressed in liturgy. It is alignment, and alignment is erotic in the truest sense. It calls life to life. You carry a future in your chest that does not try to colonize the present. You carry a past in your eyes that has been forgiven, not weaponized. You carry a present in your hands that is precise enough to be safe. She recognizes in this trinity a place where desire does not have to apologize for existing and does not have to dominate to be believed. The radiance she recognizes is not a spotlit myth, it is a usable light. It lets her read herself more clearly and decide, with joy and gravity, how she wishes to proceed. Chosen one, keep your flame human so she can keep finding herself in it. Eat like a man who intends to be kind tonight. Move like a man who intends to be patient at noon. Sleep like a man who intends to be wise at dawn. Let your jokes leave everyone's dignity intact. Let your compliments make courage rather than dependence. Let your touch be a sentence that never forgets the grammar of consent. The light she recognizes is made of 1,000 untelevised choices. Keep making them. The room will keep answering. So will she. Chosen one, leadership announced by volume burns out by noon. Leadership declared by radiance lasts the season. What you carry now is not an argument for control. It is proof of coherence. You walk in and chaos loses its handwriting. Schedules stop behaving like tyrants and start behaving like tools. People do not know who set the new metronome, only that their voices keep time better. Their tempers stop trying to be managers. Their decisions feel less like wagers and more like work. This is the energy that leads quietly. It makes better possible without demanding to be thanked for the weather. Chosen one, your quiet leadership is a stewardship of temperature. You adjust heat, not headlines. When fear spikes, you cool it with clarity instead of selling ice at a markup. When apathy chills the bones, you add warmth in the form of purpose that does not flatter the ego but engages the craft. When confusion fogs the view, you bring light to the terrain instead of spotlight to yourself. The room learns to take its own pulse because you take yours in public. You breathe like a man who expects breath to work and invites others to follow the rhythm. Meetings begin to plan instead of perform. Dinners begin to nourish instead of numb. The hour follows your pace, the way a river follows a gradient. Quietly, inevitably. Chosen one, your leadership has nothing to prove, and therefore nothing to hide. You deliver a clean no without letting shame rent a room. You give a yes that already knows what it costs and has paid most of the price before speaking. You apologize before the bruise darkens, repair while the parts are still findable, and refuse to make a pageant of remorse. Because your integrity is audible, people lower their voices. They do not need to shout for truth when truth does not have to bid for a chair. You do not win by cornering anyone. You win by making corners unnecessary. The map redraws itself around such influence. Paths appear where there used to be posture. Chosen one, the energy that leads quietly makes a study of thresholds. You do not let chaos hitchhike across the doorway. You pause before entering and check your weather so you do not storm on the carpet. You pause before leaving and close the door softly so the room does not inherit your hurry. These courtesies are not quaint. They are infrastructure. People who witness them begin to imitate them. Work begins and ends with cleaner edges. Conversations remember how to be concluded without sentencing anyone. The calendar, so often a tyrant, turns into a covenant kept by adults. Your leadership teaches time its manners. Chosen one, you assign credit like a gardener, not piling it in one place to grow mold, but spreading it where roots are. You speak names precisely, so effort is not erased by the camera angle. You refuse to be the hero of a story that had many hands, and your refusal does not dim you. It deepens you. People feel safer taking initiative because they are not auditioning for your approval. They are collaborating with your purpose. They stop hoarding ideas. They bring their small excellence early, when it can still change the shape of things. When outcomes flourish, the room does not rush to crown a king. It learns to keep tending. Chosen one, your sexual energy, housed and honest, doesn't just attract, it organizes. It sets a tone in which consent is assumed, boundaries are readable, humor is generous, and pressure never masquerades as passion. This tone is leadership. It guards the space so others can risk who they are without paying with who they will be tomorrow. The feminine feels the permission in this climate to be brilliant without being threatened for it, to be moved without being managed by it, to be open without being obligated. The masculine, too, finds itself relieved. It can bring strength without spectacle, tenderness without apology, competitiveness without contempt. A culture is being shaped in your wake, and cultures outlive charisma. Chosen one, when conflict arrives, as it must, you refuse to purchase control at the expense of dignity. You state the non-negotiables in a voice that does not confuse firmness with fury. You narrow the problem so people do not fall into it. You do not recruit the room to be your jury. You recruit the room to be your workshop. Tools appear that shouting will never invent. Listening that clarifies, questions that cut clean, pauses that cool metal so it can be shaped. Where others escalate volume, you escalate comprehension. The fire dies because wood from the right tree has replaced the smoke. Chosen one, quiet leadership is a choreography of endings as much as beginnings. You land the moment while it can still stand. You close the laptop while respect is intact. You send people home in time to like themselves in the mirror. You refuse to let victory trample recovery. Because you keep the rhythm merciful, people return stronger. They meet deadlines with oxygen in their sentences. They handle crises with hands that remember how to be gentle. They surprise themselves with how much better they behave when the air is not being mined for attention. You did not shout them into excellence. You gave excellence a climate and asked nothing clever of it except to grow. Chosen one, the energy that leads quietly is not allergic to celebration. It simply refuses to intoxicate. You let joy be loud enough to wake the blood and sober enough to remember tomorrow. You toast effort before outcome so the craft does not wither when results are delayed. You spot the person who usually cleans up and bring them into the center while there is music, not afterward when the floor is sticky. Your celebration teaches the room what it values. It says we will keep choosing what makes us more human over what makes us more visible. It says our shine is not rented, it is earned and therefore renewable. Chosen one, keep the practices that keep your power portable. Begin the day before the world begins its bidding war for your attention. Eat like a man who intends to be kind at 5. Move like a man who plans to be patient when the email arrives. Hydrate your temper. Guard your edge with sleep. Speak less than you could and mean more than you must. Let your presence continue to be the quiet policy that rooms remember after they think they have forgotten your name. In that remembrance, leadership happens. Decisions improve, tempers retire, courage reports for duty, and dignity keeps its seat without needing a crown. This is how radiance governs, not by decree but by design. Not by spotlight but by climate. Not by noise but by a steady heat that refuses to go out. Chosen one, you no longer negotiate for the right to be bright. The old reflex to preface your presence with apology has gone quiet. The old habit of explaining your ease to the uncomfortable has retired its post. What shines from you this month is not a performance stitched together for witnesses. It is the native light of a life arranged around truth. You do not audition for the hour. You inhabit it. The room senses this before language arrives. Conversations stop trying to sell themselves. Laughter drops its armor. Even the furniture seems to accept its purpose. That is what a justified life does to space. It removes the plea from the air and replaces it with belonging. Chosen one, you learn this peace by refusing the tax of over-explanation. You do not footnote your boundaries to soften their clarity. You do not mortgage your timing to pay for someone else's avoidance. You do not translate your kindness into spectacle to make it legible to the loud. Your yes is clean because it was not purchased on credit. Your no is kind because it was not sharpened in secrecy. This composure is not indifference, it is fidelity. You have grown loyal to the man you are becoming, and loyalty glows. It is the radiance of a center that does not wobble under other people's weather. Chosen one, the world will still test your steadiness. Envy will knock dressed as concern. Manipulation will rehearse the lines of intimacy. Urgency will arrive with a siren and no ambulance. Your glow does not argue with any of them. It simply declines the invitation to forget itself. You do not raise your voice to be heard over noise. You lower your pulse until noise loses interest. You do not donate your attention to a fire that will not warm a single soul when it is done burning. You do not trade your pace for applause. A man who has stopped paying bribes to be himself is difficult to move and impossible to counterfeit. Chosen one, you have made a covenant with quiet. You let silence complete its meaning before you add yours. You let the unsent message remain unsent when it carries more heat than light. You let the unchosen invitation be honored rather than resented. In this covenant, your sexual energy has learned reverence. It is not a flare seeking spectators. It is a lamp trimmed at dawn, trustworthy to burn through long hours without calling attention to its labor. Others feel the difference in their bodies. They do not tense for the bill after warmth. They do not search the compliment for a hook. They do not fear that closeness will be taxed at tomorrow's rate. Your glow needs no justification because it issues no invoice. Chosen one, humility is the frame that keeps your radiance honest. You do not mistake attention for affection, momentum for meaning, visibility for value. Praise lands where work lived, critique lands where craft must grow. Neither is allowed to rewrite your name. Your worth is housed upstream of feedback, and because of this you can use feedback without using people. You can receive delight without being drunk on it, and receive disappointment without being dismantled by it. The freedom to be instructed without being insulted is one of the great dignities of adulthood. Dignity shines. It is the kind of beauty the eye trusts, even when it cannot find a reason to argue. Chosen one, your glow is legible in the way you honor pace. You no longer rush a small beginning out of embarrassment, nor do you stall a right ending out of sentimentality. You leave while kindness still has the floor. You arrive before exhaustion drafts the script. Time feels stewarded around you rather than spent. People do not leave your company with the subtle ache of having been mined for your moment. They leave with the quiet wealth of having been respected. They do not know to call this radiance without justification, but they carry it home. They set things down more softly. They ask fewer questions that are really traps. They fall asleep earlier because their nervous systems believe in tomorrow. Chosen one, nothing has made your light cleaner than your relationship to desire. You do not apologize for wanting, and you do not weaponize wanting to win. You let attraction speak in its own accent. You let consent translate. You let wisdom edit the sentence into something precise and kind. There is no scramble in you to secure the future by pressuring the present, no appetite dressed in principle to make its case look noble. Desire that has met discipline glows a color the body trusts. The feminine recognizes it at once. Her boundaries feel like beauty in your eyes rather than obstacles in your way. She does not rush to be a trophy in your myth because you are not hunting for proof. You are hosting a life. Chosen one, this glow is economical. It spends small courtesies that compound into a climate. The half beat at the threshold to check your weather, the way you set a glass down without scolding the table, the way you end a joke before someone must pay for its laughter. You do not pretend these gestures are grand, you simply keep them. The room keeps them after you leave, which is the mark of a justified light. It teaches space how to treat itself. If praise comes, you do not bow to it. If criticism arrives, you do not bow against it. You bow to the truth you have chosen to maintain, and the truth bows back. Chosen one, keep the contracts that keep your glow unborrowed. Sleep like a man who intends to be patient. Eat like a man who intends to be kind. Move like a man who intends to be useful. Pray like a man who intends to be quiet enough to hear. Repair before pride turns small damage into structural failure. Refuse the currency of spectacle when faced with the price of substance. You do not have to defend this brightness. You only have to live it. Where you walk, the air will know. Where you pause, the hour will deepen. Where you speak, the sentence will stand. And when you go, the room will not forget how to be good to itself. Chosen one, light that is true does not merely attract, it alters. It does not hypnotize people into watching, it restores their ability to see. This month your radiance has turned from private blessing into public grammar. Without a speech, you have taught rooms to conjugate dignity. To say I am without apology, you are without suspicion, we are without erasure. Others begin to stand a little more squarely in their own names because you insist, by example, that a human being is not something to be marketed but something to be honored. You are not delivering a program. You are keeping a climate, and climates outlast moments. Chosen one, notice how change begins in increments, too humble for history books. A colleague who usually compensates with volume chooses precision. A friend who has been fasting from joy without admitting it takes a second slice and calls it gratitude, not guilt. A stranger who was trained to hurry across every threshold pauses the way you do and discovers that doors can be entered without bracing. Children recalibrate at your knees. They ask their entire question instead of skimming for safety. Elders breathe more slowly in your line. They do not apologize for their pace because your face did not demand they earn their space. These are revisions to the human script, and your presence is the editor's pencil, barely visible, utterly decisive. Chosen one, people become braver around you because you have made courage ordinary. You apologize while it is still inexpensive and demonstrate that repair is craft rather than theater. You decline beautifully and demonstrate that refusal need not be a wound. You keep appointments with the small disciplines that make big promises believable, and others decide to be trustworthy without writing manifestos. Your steadiness becomes a local custom. Whole days inherit the manners of your morning: water first, breath before opinion, truth before performance. In such manners, panic loses market share. Hope lowers its prices until the poor can afford it. Chosen one, your leadership of atmosphere creates a refuge where gifts risk being seen. The quiet talent stops waiting to be drafted and offers itself early, while there is still time to shape the plan. The loud talent loses its need to conquer and learns to harmonize. The feminine lays down exhaustion that came from guarding rather than creating. She does not have to explain why she is brilliant to be allowed to be brilliant. The masculine stops holding its breath in case gentleness makes it smaller. It learns that tenderness is tensile and that strength is a service. A culture is being formed in the shadow of your choices, and culture is the long game of love. Chosen one, the change you carry is merciful with time. You do not hurry people into revelations they cannot sustain. You do not stall confessions that want to move. You set a pace that keeps truths viable after midnight. Because of this, decisions made in your radius are competent in daylight. A boundary spoken near you does not need to be re-explained in the morning. A promise made with you present does not need a chaperone. A dream described at your table survives the week because it was not inflated for applause. It was weighed for work. Your radiance has made integrity ergonomic. People do what is good, not because they are terrified, but because it has become the most comfortable way to stand. Chosen one, the softened weather you bring makes room for accountability that is not humiliation. You can say this must stop without implying you must disappear. You can say I was wrong without handing shame the keys to the house. You can say here is the cost, here is the calendar, here is the craft, and the room here's direction rather than indictment.